Are you an independent author with an incredible story to share? Are you afraid your book will get lost in a sea of books? True Vine Publishing Company can help you stand out. We're not just a publishing service, we're your partner in success. We provide personalized marketing strategies and eye-catching covers that will captivate your audience. We will build your author platform and connect with your readers. We have helped countless authors achieve success, and we can help you too. Break free from the shadows, take control of your publishing journey, and make your mark. Visit TrueVinePublishing.com or call 615-44-BOOKS to schedule a consultation.
Hello, this is Timothy Bond with True Vine Publishing Company, and you're watching the next episode of The Right Change, where our guest today is author Cobby Williams, author of I'm Not Done Yet. Cobby, my man, how you doing, man?
I'm awesome, man. I'm just having a great evening. I just got off work with the kids, and I'm here relaxing, talking to you, my brother, in another country as well as another time zone. I'm spreading Cobby all over the world, boss.
First of all, I'd like to say this to all of my clients. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of a vision that you have put out, that God has given you, and I never take that for granted.
No, thank you, my brother, and thank you for allowing us to be on this platform, especially as a new author. Yes. I'm admiring the entirety of this entity that you have brought forth for us. I look forward to moving and seeing greater things from you, my guy.
Well, I know you have an amazing story. We have about 30 minutes on this podcast. I know 30 minutes.
I'm going to need more than that. I think I'm going to need more than that. No,
right. You're going to need a couple of days with your story, man.
I might need a couple of days because my life is a mini movie. You guys see Diddy and all these other cats out there, but I'm just a local Joe.
So first of all, let me do this. Let me open the door before we talk about this amazing book. I want to open the door and allow you to tell people, who is Cobby Williams?
Where should I start specifically? I'm this young boy, or I'm a man now. Mm-hmm. I am from the Show Me State. I was born in the Show Me State of Kansas City, Missouri. And my parents, my mom, everybody moved to the great state of Mississippi. And I was raised in a small town called Canton, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And from that little small town, the City of Lights, of course, which is Canton, Mississippi, I moved to Jackson and then back and forth every summer to Kansas City to visit my grandparents on my father's side. So kind of have a little bit of the Show Me State as well as the countryside of Mississippi. That's what you have in front of you. And from there, I went worldwide with Cobby Williams. That's why you got the slogan on with Cobby. And from that moment, I entered the government as a young, whippersnapper at 21. That's how I got into the government, started at Jackson State. And then I, by way, somehow moved to Washington, D.C. And from D.C., that's where life really took off. I bloomed so much that I started traveling the world thereafter. I went to the Howard University, where I received my master's. And again, I'm just this poor little country boy. And started and continued my career with the government while being in D.C. In between of all of that, there was a lot of trials and tribulations that I went through to get to this point, to be in front of you, Tim. That's what the book is about.
Yeah, let's get into that because, you got your story of someone, who has moved into government. I'm assuming politics. Is that correct?
Yes. Politics. It left a scar on me. Yeah, left a scar, but it left some good scars. And it left me into some battlegrounds that I, once entered. And here I am before you, standing before you as one of those laborers of politics. For those who have come before us, have served these great states like Mississippi or Maryland or the city of Washington, D.C. So yeah, I've been there.
One of the statements we're hearing now, especially in this political time, is, going from the courthouse to the White House, or going from the White House to the courthouse or the jailhouse. I think you have a little bit of a similar story. Tell us a little bit about your trek from the inner city to, moving to a place of representing the people?
So I've always considered myself as a public servant, and I learned to maneuver that in those type of fields as a public servant by being amongst those who came before me. Like I grew up in Mississippi, right? We had I used to look up to the first Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Espy.
Okay.
That's who inspired me from the beginning. I
Mhm.
was a little kid in the tennis courts of Jackson.
Okay.
And that's where I met him on the tennis courts. He gave me one of my first jobs as a person who got the balls when they hit.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know what you call it, but
okay.
from that moment, I was hooked because he invested his time into telling someone, "Hey, that young kid there is very energetic. Why don't you get him?" And then to move on beyond that, this man ran for office and he came to my town. He came to my town while visiting my grandmother, and I was hooked on him. Mike Espy is the one that inspired me to enter those grounds of being a public servant.
Mhm.
So in the midst of that, all this was in the back of my head growing up. And so when I got to DC, it flourished.
Okay.
It went on to become more of a political game because I started giving more back to the community in Mississippi by way of my nonprofit that I opened up in 2010.
Okay.
And that profit is Core Innovations. It started off as a community development corporation, which it still is, but later changed to the name Core Innovations,
Mhm.
where I, deal with the youth and young adult literacy programs in the state of Mississippi. And
Mhm.
I've been giving back and forth through my philanthropy by way of my organization, which allows you to be that public servant.
Mhm.
So with that in back of my mind, including those who have served Mississippi, because Mississippi has a lot of people who have served as Black politicians for these past, umpteen years. And then when I went on to, continue with the nonprofit while working for the government, of course, outside of government, I started working for politicians doing grassroots services, door to door, knocking on door to doors.
Mhm.
And it started with not only he used to be our governor, Governor O'Malley. I
Okay.
got my first position with him as a field manager, and I used to take people around all over Maryland to knock on doors, and that bug bit me even more.
Mhm.
Later, while living in DC, um, I got into real estate, of course. I bought my first condo in DC. When I first got there, I had people from Mississippi going to school at Howard University to experience that moment with me. And so I had an opportunity while leaving and entering out of the federal government to work for Agent Fenty. I got my first book in state and local government while being a Capital City Fellow. And that to me made me even more of a public servant being a fellow for the District of Columbia government. And
Mhm.
from there, it just went further up. And so I hopped around in the government for many years. I worked for the State Department. I did some work for the FBI, the National Academy of Public Administration. This is my resume. So this right here, building that foundation, along with the things that I've done under Mike Espy, being encouraged and inspired by people like himself, I decided to go home and run for Congress back in during the Obama administration, his second term. And so
Okay.
from there, that bug just continued in me. And I ran for Congress, one of the youngest possibly in America at the time. And I lost, of course, because I ran against a giant. I'm not going to mention his name. You can look up my name. You will see when I ran.
Okay.
And then for state local politics, after I didn't win, I had the opportunity, which I know I won. I became a city council member, but I didn't win because of the fraudulence of the people who later went to the courthouse, like you mentioned earlier, based on fraudulent things. And I was one before they got to the court. I was the first one to go to court and accused of registering a convicted felon. I'm a firm believer. I didn't know anything about it. I was
Mhm.
young at the time, dumb of the law, but
Okay.
you can't be ignorant of the law in Mississippi. So
Now,
she
hold
was a
on, hold
registered.
on. So we gotta, because you dropped a bombshell right there. Okay. Especially in a time where voter registration has become really a focus as a way to disempower and disenfranchise people. You're telling me that you went out innocently registering people to vote. I'm assuming it's not your job to do background checks on people that you walk up on in the street and say, hey, are you registered to vote? They say no. You say, we want to get you registered to vote. I'm assuming it's not your job doing that to do background checks. So take us to that. How did this go down?
So that was a very, very emotional time for me because it was stressful, yet tedious, and I feel like I had a lot to Tim, if you only knew, brother.
It's all right, brother. Take your time.
So I'm a man up because at the end of the day, they tell you not to be ignorant to the law, but you have people that are out of jail and they're not allowed to vote. They've done their time, they served their time, and yet how am I supposed to know these things, right? I'm innocent. I went home with a clean record to Mississippi. Clean record. Clean conscience, the entire nine, right? And I'll give you the truth on that. I didn't know if she was a convicted felon. It was after the fact. But they said I turned in, I turned in the actual voter registration for her. The honest part of me was literally stunned, right? Now, had I did the opposite of it, I didn't do anything. Let me get a lawyer. I don't care about that. I didn't take that route. I didn't take the coward route to throw my sister under the bus. I took the route out, let's challenge it and see if you are in my head. So everything started to spiral. I didn't know she had a record this long. You can read about it. It's in the papers, everything. I didn't know that. My chances were, hey, just check and see. You're out of jail. You've done your time, which I asked. Meanwhile, they setting this woman up. They have a wire. She comes to my house and everything. I'm literally on tape saying, hey, whatever happens, I'll take the blame for it. The innocent people. The innocent me of being a public servant, trying to be true, live, being a law-abiding citizen. This woman taped up and everything. I'm not going to mention her name. And they took the tape back to her. And that's how I told her on myself. I said, I take it because I wasn't sure of the outcome.
Okay.
So here I am.
Wait, so this was after the fact? So you registered her?
I registered her. I could have said somebody else turned it in, but they was watching me like a hawk. I turned the majority of my paperwork to the city counter for people to be registered. Lots of teenagers and everything. Here I am doing everything honestly with none of this. But I got blamed for the fact that I turned that paper in, which I wasn't aware of because people were turning it in. So that went on. And in the meantime, I'm running for city council, kicking butt. I beat everybody. It was just me and my extended family member as the top two candidates. That's when I know I was going to win. I should have been a city council member. However, I think there was some cheating going on there. Mind you, you know why? Because a year later, they all got charged with voters fraud, just like I did.
Wow.
So I think it was stolen from me because I knew I was there to win. Everything poured on my head after that election, after I ran for city council. That's when everything, they waited until I literally was lost. I came home one day walking my dog. This is how dirty they are. The sheriff outside of my house, he called me while I'm walking my dog in the neighborhood. Mr. Cobby Williams, is this you? I said, yeah, may I help you? Sir, would you come to the house, please? This is where you live at such and such address? I said, yeah, what's wrong? Now, the old me, the street me, I would have never came because if you look at me, I'm about to go back to DC. You're going to have to come get me, buddy. But me, I was so sure and confident, and my ego was like, I have nothing to fear because I didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Man, them folks locked me up for the weekend for voters fraud.
Wow.
Said, you're going to be facing up to 5 years plus penalty and everything in prison.
Wow.
Did you know my entire head, life, and everything dropped before me? I saw everything just. This is Mississippi. You know how you heard the movie Mississippi Burning?
Yeah.
Bro, I wanted to burn down everything. You know what this white cop did to me? He left my dog out in the street. He wouldn't even let me put my dog up. He put me in the car, my dog running around. I had to beg this man, let me put my dog in the cage. He wouldn't even let me do it. And he'll let me do it the last minute. He put the locks on me and tucked me in. Now, Here's the story behind that too. Now, I didn't expect anything. They went to court, went to trial and everything. You know, I spent my life savings on this, man, to stay out of jail. That has been a very emotional moment. I did write about that in the book. And at the same time, I was treated like a criminal until I did the transitioning back to DC while being a felon. Now, mind you, whoever's listening to this, I was on the books for 10 years. You have to wait in Mississippi. You're going to be on their books for 5 years. Then you have to wait 5 years to be expunged. As of March of this year is when I have the opportunity.
March of this year, 2024.
That's how long they keep you on paper as a black man. So you talk about emotional. I felt the relief off my shoulder now because I'm doing so much. I hadn't even went home yet to get it expunged, but I got a lawyer who's going to get it done.
Yeah.
I didn't put that in the book either. But the point is that I spent 10 years losing jobs, 6-figure jobs, and being turned down for jobs because of a felon. So that system is systematically wrapping you up for 10 years.
Right.
And that's Mississippi for you.
So let's get into the book. Tell us how this book came about.
You know, Tim, I can go many ways with the book, but I'm going to keep it real simple because there's a lot that wasn't added in the book, which would make it part 2 after they read this book. First of all, this book is for all ages who can read, right? There's juicy part of it, but it's life. I want to give them hope in life, right? So what my book does, right? If you read it, and here I am speaking as a teacher, you have to use your analytical skills to understand the story, and it's not rocket science. And what I mean by that, if you read the story in its entirety, it's going to give you strength of knowing that you can stand on my shoulders, to know that I've been through these obstacles, as well as overcame these obstacles, as well as knowing that you can keep going no matter what life throws at you. Because I know for a fact, if you've been in my shoes, I've seen people die over the past few years. I've seen people giving up, lost hope in their dreams because of going to jail. People lost their jobs, their homes, their cars. I've been around these people all my entire life. And so when you read my stories from a thing, you have to ask yourself, what is the theme of this book? What is the plot? What am I going to get from this book? You have to look at the individual himself, which is me. And it's not about me. It's about the stories and the actual events that I've been through. And you look at the events and say, what? What happened? What? If you look at it from that angle, you would say, wow, my little stuff don't even compare to that. And not to say comparison and contrast with who's big and who's has the worst issues or problems, but you're going to be inspired based on the fact that I've lived through that and I had the opportunity to see the world while being a felon.
Yeah.
However you look at it, Black man in America is faced with going to jail, almost going to jail, or coming out of jail. I'm one of those people, right? And at the midst of all that, I didn't allow any of that to get to me and give up on what I was here to do. I kept giving. I keep giving. My philanthropic spirit continues to give. I just came back from Africa a couple of months doing missionary work. I'm constantly giving book scholarships every year on the low. You don't hear me advertising, but I got proof. I'm a living proof that no matter where you come from, this poor little country boy from Mississippi, someone who's deeply embedded in Southern roots, the Bible Belt, and living in Kansas City back and forth, you should be able to walk away with saying that if he'd been through all he'd been through, then I know for a fact I can move forward. I know for a fact I shouldn't give up on my goals.
You know, just listening to the different things that you've been through, and I know we haven't even scratched the surface. It really does speak to that title, I'm Not Done Yet, because I can imagine being a politician, having that love for politics and public service, and being arrested. I can imagine feeling you might feel like it's over. How did you overcome that, say I'm not done yet, and then become someone who's traveling the world, touching lives all over the world?
Yes. From here to Ghana to China to Bali to Mandalay to Myanmar.
When you say here, I'm sorry to cut you off. When he says here, people, he's right now in Dubai.
Yes, I'm in my dear library. I just finished teaching some kids English, and I'm still learning English every day. So, hey, my flaws, you see my flaws have been turned into strength.
Yes. Yes.
Know that. I'm not perfect, but I'm here and I'm making it an effort to be the best that I can be, the best version of me. And you have opportunity to say,
I'm sorry I cut you off, but I want you to continue your thought. Like, how did you overcome that total despair, having your whole career and passion stripped away from you like that? How'd you overcome that?
you know what, Tim? Um, it's about meditating and putting God first. If
Mhm.
you believe in him, I feel like if you just let him just do his thing
Mhm.
and you do your thing, but also knowing that he's going to have your back if you stay positive and optimistic and dealing with people who want to deal with you, things would iron out smoothly for you.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is that I have some people to walk away from me being a felon. Literally, walk away from me even going to jail. The thought of me even making this mistake as a human being and never came back into my life.
Mhm.
And I've actually gained better friendships based on being a felon because they understand me and they understand my personality, they understand my characteristics, they understand my traits as a human being.
Mhm.
They understand that. So you ask me how did I overcome that? Is by continuing to do what I love the most. And one of them is traveling because
Mhm.
it opens your mind up. Every job and every opportunity that I left or they took from me, and I forgot to mention, I lost every job that I had in Mississippi when they went on the news and said, hey, Mr. Williams got convicted of felony charges for voters fraud. Every job that I've had, the three all fired me,
Yeah.
all fired me. So you asked me how I overcome that. I had good people watching out for me, maybe a couple of, maybe three in Mississippi, but in DC was my home. They understood the politics of the rest of the world.
Mhm.
I got to DC. I came back to my comfort zone. And that comfort zone with the felon hanging over my head was still kind of tough because I had a felon. But at
Mhm.
the same time, it was people who understood because DC is full of everything that I've gone through. I
Mhm.
had my house, I had my health, I had my, everything I needed to survive,
Mhm.
right? And I had my hustle. And that's one thing that you must understand about Mr. Williams, the hustle, the
Mhm.
hustle,
Yeah.
the hustle. I'm going to repeat that. The hustle what made me is what made me stronger to this day. Never giving up on anything because if you stay focused, you give you eternal vision, nothing can stop you. The hustle in me, that little boy that used to mow yards in Canton, that young man who used to wash cars in Jackson, Mississippi, still got that same hustle. Never give up on your hustle because that's the only thing you have to fall back on. When people do you wrong, they walk out in your life. Everything else, you got yourself.
Mhm.
So here's what I want to tell everybody. You lay eggs everywhere you go. I mean, opportunities, positive things, build it with other people. You never know when you're going to cross that path again. And that's what I did. I left nuggets in Mississippi. I had accounts I never knew I had opened. I walked into DC. I forgot I had investments in different places, different people. Everything just started coming back together. God just say, son, you're home now. Welcome back to DC, where you have actually bought your first house, had your investment. Those are the nest eggs. So
Mhm.
I was hurt emotionally. I was broken as my soul was telling me I was broken. And all through all of that, I had my church family. I
Mhm.
would never ever give up on Calvary.
Mhm.
Calvary, Great Mount Calvary, the Holy Church of Great Mount Calvary in Washington, D.C. off of Rhode Island Avenue was my rock,
Mhm.
my rock. And I don't want to cry because I know that I'm not weak in that area, but it's tears that I want to share because my rock was there for me. And I go on the record and I would die saying that.
That's
My
awesome.
hustle and my rock.
So I want to touch on one last thing because I find what you have done to be spectacular in that you have turned your gifts, like you said, your weaknesses into your strengths. You've taken something that all Americans have, which is your language, and
Yeah.
you leveraged it to travel the world, which is something you're passionate about, and get paid by the countries where you go to do so. Tell us how you came upon this new, I guess, journey or phase in life that you're in now.
You know, it's funny you would say that, but it's not new. Do you know why
Okay.
it's not new? Let
Okay.
me tell you how it all started. Remember, I just stated to everybody and everybody that's listening is putting those nuggets, putting those eggs in different baskets, right?
Yeah.
So you remember when I went, I never said this, but it's in my book. The first time I've ever traveled outside the country was Europe
Okay.
when it's the high school. And I knew then that's when I was bit by the bug, right? From that point on, I said, I gotta go. I gotta get out. I gotta get out. I gotta go. So when I got to Jackson State, my first my second overseas trip, Costa Rica. I was the first in a group of other people to be a part of the international program by Jackson State University. So I'm grandfathered in by Dr. Mack. I
Okay.
don't know if she's there, but Dr. Mack, thank you. I love you. I would like to first say thank you to Miss Jackson, who gave me my first trip in high school at Murrah High School.
Mhm.
But planting that seed in Costa Rica, never forgotten. My family stayed in contact with me for years, right? And so I said, okay, I still stayed in contact with them. I said, now let me go out and in the midst of working for the government, I became a fellow at Howard University, right?
Mhm.
Fellow with the Cox Fellow with the State Department, which allowed me to work for the State Department. Mind you, my trip there, Ethiopia, planted another seed. Now,
Mhm.
mind you, if I showed you the pictures now, which I don't have, I'm there with a group of students. Group
Mhm.
of students. This is 2001. This
Mhm.
is the year of 9/11,
Mhm.
right? I didn't even put this in the book because I just came back. The plane hit the building, et cetera, et cetera. I lived through that.
Wow.
Indeed, that's the bug that I planted in my head. But yet, my contacts are there. Now, mind you, this is me being introduced to Africa. Okay, my first time ever, 2001.
Mhm.
So now imagine me planting that seed, and all the people that I work with started going out through entire Africa. Never lost contact.
Mhm.
Never lost contact with majority of them. And we're talking about 20 some years later, Tim.
Wow.
We're talking about the impression of my smile, my personality, my charisma, everything I live with these people. They remember me to this day.
Uh-huh.
So I tell everybody, when you meet people, you never know when you're going to see them again.
Mhm.
Okay. So now take that, keep going, fast forward, got out of the government, started teaching in school, right? Started getting my certification, TOEFL certification, English, everything. Mind you, I'm still loving math and science and everything, going through the school system. So I said, okay, it's time for me to leave again. I'm sitting in my room in Baltimore teaching in Baltimore, one of the city schools there, right?
Mhm.
I get a call to go to China. That's when I all broke loose at this point, right? In a good way, of course. And so this was when was this then? Anyway, let's just say I went to China and the rest is history. I went from China to Ghana, from Ghana to Mandalay to Bali, Bali um, to Zambia, down to uh, South Africa, then back to Bali. I'm just going all over because I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
giving you the
Yeah.
because I'm teaching, right?
Mhm.
Um, oh, I forgot. Let me put a stump in there. COVID happened. Came back home.
Mhm.
Then I went when COVID was over to Mandalay, Bumar.
Okay.
Okay. Then Bumar, then to Bali. Years later, Dubai.
Yeah. Yeah.
All within a matter of about 10 years.
I say, and I believe this, that authors change the world. And I think that you are a prime example of this, right?
Thank
I
you.
believe that we are all connected in the fabric of humanity. If I take if I take a string from my shirt, if I just keep pulling it, I can unravel this whole shirt, right? And I believe humanity is connected like that. And so if
Yes, it is.
as you go in and change one person's life, you are changing the world. Now, you may not see the total impact of the way you've impacted the world, but you have changed the world. You know, there's a statement that says if you throw, it's an old, I think Chinese proverb says if you throw a pebble in the ocean, you'll change the tide. And I just want to congratulate you for impacting the world in a positive way, right? Not a negative way, you know. And honestly, and this is just me, I'm just going to be honest. When I see a black man arrested for helping people really get registered to vote, you know, I don't see a criminal. I see a victim of the system, right? Because I mean, it's just, you know, there's so much going on, so much bad going on for people to use resources to attack and imprison those who are trying to help other people be empowered, you know. So that's just my political rant. I'm not a politician, people, but that's just how I see it. That's just how I see it. So, you know, from one brother to another, it is encouraging to see that even when they took away the very thing that you loved, you found a new way to change and empower people, and doing it with the youth of the world even more so is even more so important, man. Listen, like I said, like we said in the beginning, we could probably talk for 2 days about your story. Look, let's tell the people I'm not done yet. Is in the pre-sale phase. We are literally one step away from having books shipped out, but you have a goal. Let's tell the people what that goal is.
You know, at the end of the day, if I can reach 300 to 500 children within the next 30 days, hey, that in itself would be that little pebble you said that can change the tide moving forward. And that's what I want to do.
So I know you're in Dubai, but in case someone wanted to reach out to you, maybe they want you to get on Zoom and talk to their students, talk to their organization. How can people get in contact with you, Cobby?
Hey, you know what? If you're on WeChat, go to 202-929-8654. And if you're on WeChat, you can also use my Dubai number, which is 971-528-280166. Again, 971-528-280166. Jerry, you can always email me. Tim, you want to tell them what my email is?
I'm with Cobby at gmail.com.
And that is spelled IMWITHCOBBY at gmail.com. Please drop that email and send a Zoom. I will be here anytime to talk to your kids. I've done it before, and I continue to do such with other countries like China. I had people to call me from Ghana. I had people to call me from Zambia. And you can see all this on my Facebook. You can reach me on my Facebook. It's under Cobby Mondale. Yeah. I'm not hard to find. I'm a public servant. I'm here to serve you.
That Cobby Mondale is COBBYMONDALE.
Yep, that's my social media contact. That's Instagram. You can inbox me and say, hey, Mr. Williams, and you can talk to my class for 5 minutes. I'm willing to do that. Okay.
It's been amazing.
Thank you.
This has been a great interview. Looking forward to getting this book out to help as many people as we possibly can realize that even when you lose it all, seemingly, I'm not done yet. Have a great day.
You too, Tim. Blessings.